Welcome. In this video, we're diving into the STAAR test and unraveling the mystery between an ECR student response scoring 2 points versus 5 points. Hey, I'm Angela, the creator behind Custom Classroom by Angela. Join me as I dissect and analyze these examples from English 2 students to shed light on the key elements that make the difference in getting the most points you can on your ECR response. Throughout the video, I will be using this ECR checklist so you can visually see all the components necessary to score 5 points. Today, I'll be looking at the English 2 writing prompt. Read the example from the Song of Lark. Based on the information in the excerpt, write a response to the following. Explain how acquiring the loft room changes Thea. Write a well-organized informational composition that uses specific evidence from the excerpt to support your answer. This is an example of a student that scored 2 points. The room becomes an important aspect of Thea's life. It marks a new chapter in Thea's life and is described as one of the best things to happen to her. This room is a safe space Thea created herself, even though it wasn't luxurious, but it was to Thea's comfort and needs. It was a place where her mind worked better and she could think things more clearly. She came up with pleasant plans and ideas that she had never thought of before. Thea changes in the aspect that she starts to live a double life, where during the day she is filled with tasks and has the responsibility of being a Kroonberg child, and at night she can escape and be herself. She can be herself without having anyone nag her. She has freedom and all the time in the world. So here, if we look at the organization and development of ideas portion of the rubric, we can see that in green here, toward the end of the response, the writer does start to answer the question with a controlling idea, but they don't thoroughly develop it. The organization here is limited. They do try to kind of do an introduction and a conclusion, but it's not super successful as one whole piece of writing. And there is a little bit of paraphrased text evidence, but it's not explained at all. So because each of these elements are very weak, this section of the rubric only scored 1 point. The other point came from conventions. As you can see, there's quite a few errors in construction and punctuation, capitalization, spelling. But even though there's this inconsistent command, you can still ultimately understand their thoughts, so it still scored 1 point. All right, let's look at a 5-point response. When Thea gets her own room and space, though it is small, it gives her a kind of freedom. In paragraph 6, the author writes, during the day, when the hours were full of tasks, she had no clock and there was no one to nag her. Her room changes her because it allows her time to take a step back and do what she chooses. Based on the text evidence and description of how Thea feels, we can infer that she treasures this space. She puts a lot of work and time into creating this space into a comforting area. She decorates her little room. She gets materials to change it from shabby and unfinished to something she is proud of. Further, she uses her own opinions and needs to dictate how she lives. But against her mother's advice and Tilly's, she always left her window open a little way. The author writes that Thea does this so she may further her music career and strengthen her voice. She is also said to put a brick in her bed to keep her feet warm. These two examples are few of many from the excerpt that show how she creates her own space by using her opinions, doing as she pleases in her little room. I believe many teens can relate to Thea. I know my room is my space where I can recharge and have time to myself, which is how she treats her room. I've also spent years and resources in my room to cultivate it into a place where I feel comfortable. Having a space dedicated to rest, relaxation, and a type of freedom is extremely important to so many people and has been for centuries, as this was written from the 1800s. All three of these examples further the idea that having your own space, no matter how small, is important and freeing. So let's look at the checklist here and start in the organizing and developments of ideas. There is a definite controlling idea present in the beginning here in green, where this student is directly answering the prompt, but then they do go on to develop this answer thoroughly. One part of that is their organization, where they have a strong introduction and conclusion, a very thorough conclusion with opinions that wrap it all up. They include transitions that make the writing flow throughout the whole response, and they stay on topic the whole way through. They also get credit for the text evidence because there is relevant, not only quoted, but paraphrased evidence that they do explain and clearly state how it is answering this question and ties back to the prompt. And their expression of ideas is very clear. They use words like dedicate and further her music career and cultivate so that they can clearly express what they're trying to convey here. So this student is getting all 3 points in this section. Now on to the convention section. There were a couple of errors. There was a fragment and some capitalization, but for the most part, this student is showing a consistent command of their writing. None of these are really impacting the ability to understand the message they're trying to convey. If you'd like this checklist that I used throughout the video, just click the link in the description to download your own copy. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to join the custom classroom community for more valuable resources and support.